Without a doubt, the impact of Chinese vehicles in the Philippine automotive market is considerable. The pace at which they increase their market share can no longer be ignored. They're not just competing with other Asian brands in terms of tech and refinement. I dare say that they're setting the standard. Changan is the newest Chinese brand to enter the market. They may be new in the Philippines, but they're one of the oldest and one of the biggest car companies in China. The CS55 is their newest crossover, and it enters one of the most competitive price brackets in the Philippine market. The 1.1 to 1.3 million peso price bracket, which is home to the formidable Coolray and Ford Territory and their impressive sales figures. How well does it stack up to the competition? Let's find out. Here in the Philippines, the CS55 will come in 3 variants: the Lite, the Hype, and the Luxe. What we have right here is the top-of-the-line Luxe variant. All variants of the CS55 look very similar on the outside. All variants get the same 19-inch wheels wrapped in 225/55 series Dunlop tires. You get disc brakes on all 4 corners, and Changan didn't scrimp on the suspension, as you get independent suspension on all 4 corners. The Changan CS55 looks very similar to the CS75, although Changan toned down the styling a bit. Instead of the red accents that you find on the CS35 and the CS75, you get these more subtle looking bronze accents. So this huge grille takes up much of the space here at the front. Changan calls this its light and shadow grille. You get this gloss black insert with these chrome accents, and the top is covered in this clear plastic. The headlights are projector LEDs with auto high beam, and you get this quirky 3-piece DRL design. You get this gloss black garnish down here, which look like air vents from afar. And over there you get a radar unit, because this comes with full ADAS, which we're going to talk about later. The CS55 is a compact crossover. It has similar dimensions to the CS75. So here are the dimensions. Here is your ground clearance. So here on the side, the styling is a lot less aggressive than the front. You get softer lines and it looks a lot more rounded. You get this faux air vent on the fender, which I'm not sure if I'm a fan of. You get this bronze accent down here. Here at the back you get smoked LED tail lamps. You get these faux exhaust tips down here. And you get a power liftgate. Okay, so in here you get 475 liters of cargo space with the second row seats up. If you fold the second row seats down, you get 1,450 liters of cargo space. The CS55 is currently the most powerful compact crossover with an attainable price tag. It has a 1.5-liter engine that puts out 188 horsepower and 300 Newton meters of torque. Now those are diesel numbers. It's coupled to a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. We'll talk more about the transmission later, but according to Changan, it's been tested for 10 million kilometers. Not sure though if that's just one unit or multiple units. Okay, so let's step inside the CS55. Now, this interior should look very familiar to you if you've been inside a car from a certain French car brand. So the steering wheel is elliptical in shape, it's not round. You got an almost flat top and an almost flat bottom. And the instrument cluster is over here. So unlike most cars, you don't look through the steering wheel to see the instrument cluster. You look above it. That other car brand that I was talking about was Peugeot. And I love that setup. This may be an exact copy, but if you're gonna copy something, it might as well be something that works. It feels ergonomic. So when you're driving like this, your hands fall at the 9 and 3 o'clock positions, which feels very natural. Or if you just want to relax, you can just put your hand here. I love the placement of the instrument cluster. It's just below your line of sight, so you don't have to look down so much if you want to check your instruments. You get this 12-inch screen. You get Apple CarPlay, but you don't get Android Auto. And you also get a reverse camera with 3D mode, and it's quite smooth. Yeah, it's actually very smooth. It's not stuttering. You get active guidelines. You also get 2D mode. You get a wireless phone charger. You got a parking brake, although I don't think you have auto hold. You got 3 different drive modes: Eco, Normal, Sport, and you change your settings using this knob over here. In terms of materials, the dashboard is covered in soft touch materials. This is also soft touch right here. You got leather wrapped armrests. Also here, this is also leather wrapped. You got this faux wood accent over here. You got plenty of aluminum looking accents. Not sure if they're real aluminum, but they look real. Over here you get leather. You got plenty of storage down here. You got a 12-volt outlet down here and a couple of USB ports. Overall, it's a very nice looking interior. You feel like you're in a cockpit. It feels like the dashboard wraps around you. Now, what do I not like about the interior? I just have a few very minor complaints. Almost everything in the interior looks and feels premium. If I had to nitpick, there's just this. Yeah, the plastic used there doesn't feel as premium as the plastics that you find throughout the car. I wish it came with paddle shifters, but at 1.3 million, I might be asking too much. Okay, so this is a nice place to be. Although, I'm gonna point it out right away. There seems to be a design quirk of Changan. You only get one aircon vent here at the back. So if you have a co-passenger here at the back, you'll have to do a bit of negotiation. You get 2 USB ports. You get 2 USB-A ports over here. You get a foldable armrest with 2 cup holders. Space is more than adequate. I have plenty of leg room. Headroom is quite good. I have about 4 inches. And this is reclined quite a bit, so it is a very comfortable place to be in. And also, like I always say, this is the best place to appreciate your panoramic sunroof. So even if you look straight up, you see nothing but sky. It extends all the way to the back of your head. Of course, the ultimate question of any car buyer has to be answered. Can it go up to Baguio? Now, to answer that question, Changan invited me, as well as other media and content creators, to a drive from Laguna to Baguio, and then back to Laguna. All those horses were definitely put to the test, without breaking any speed limits, of course. Sorry about that. Anyway, I was grouped with Reagan of Reagan's Rides, Wes Kabunkal of Bearing PH Motoring, and James Tagle of Auto Haven in our car. We took turns driving. Wes drove mostly on the highway. Reagan and I took turns in the twisties. For a car of its size, it handles pretty well. Although the transmission does take a bit of getting used to. I did have to drive in manual mode, just to be sure that the car was in the right gear when I wanted to overtake. Now, it's been a decade since I was last in the City of Pines. And the pine trees are as enchanting as I remember them to be. Traffic was a lot worse, and the weather was not as cold. Also, apparently, you can now drive from Baguio to Laguna in 3 hours. A testament to our much improved infrastructure, of course. Now, Changan were excellent hosts during the entire trip. We definitely had fun, and not just because of the cars. The Changan CS55 has the most powerful engine in the compact class. So this has 188 horsepower, which beats the previous record holder, the Coolray, at least here in the Philippines. But it's not a light car. It's 1,800 kilograms. So, and you do feel that weight when you're driving the car. There's quite a bit of body roll. It has a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Shifting is smooth. Although it's not immediate, it takes a while for the transmission to downshift. But once you get the hang of it, it's not so bad. Yeah, so it's not a slow car by any means. So once you get the hang of the transmission, it's actually quite a bit of fun to drive. But what I love the most about the car is the steering. The ratio is quick. As you can see, I can do this turn without having to lift a hand off the wheel. And the shape of it also adds drama to the experience. As for ride comfort, it's actually quite comfortable for a car that runs on 19-inch wheels. NVH levels are also very good. God, it handles relatively well for a crossover of this type. Brakes, turn in. Now we drove this from Laguna to Baguio and then back again. As for fuel economy, it's still in its break-in period, so whatever fuel economy I got was not representative of the final fuel economy that we'll get once the car has been broken in. So we consumed about 3 full tanks going to Baguio and then back to Laguna. So I believe this has a 47 liter fuel tank. The CS55 comes with almost every modern tech that you can get on a car right now. Both the top spec and mid-spec variants are loaded with advanced driver assist features. Both the top spec and mid-spec variants get adaptive cruise control with stop and go. Both top spec and mid-spec variants get lane departure warning, but only the top spec variant gets lane keep assist. Both the top spec variant and mid-spec variants have automatic emergency braking, but only the top spec variant gets pedestrian detection. The base model doesn't get ADAS, but at 1.1 million pesos, you can't really complain. On top of all of that, you get a high-resolution 360 camera, a wireless charger, a panoramic sunroof, power seats, a power liftgate, large high-resolution screens. Of all the crossovers under 1.5 million pesos, the CS55 has the most impressive spec sheet. The only thing that needs improvement is the slight lag in the transmission. But for a lot of people, that may not even be an issue. We've come a long way since Chinese cars were considered cheap knockoffs. The other Chinese brands have made good strides and are selling well. Will Changan follow the same footsteps? Only time can tell, but from what I've seen so far, I think the future looks bright for them.